Howdy, Beefalo Bart here, and welcome. We're on a late start for the Wednesday show, but I have actually been in bed pretty much the entire day, so a little under the weather. But let's kick things off. Sit down and have some coffee. Well, got my coffee. Give everybody a few minutes to get set up and get their coffee. So that's pretty much what this is going to be about. I'm going to start a fresh project here and create. I'm just going to call it coffee. Yeah, whatever. So the main functionality of what I'm going to do with this one is I just a little while ago linked the sit down animations for UE4, and they're very simple, very common. You see, this is a absolute blank project, nothing here. I'm going to go ahead and click on the green Add New, Add Feature Content Pack. We'll do third person, add to project, and you know what? Let's throw a little bit of Cinti Studios love into the mix here. Let's see, which one do I want to add in? You know what? I think I'm going to add the town pack, which I have that in a different location. Bear with me for just a moment. Totally non-scripted, but before I start dumping that in there, let's go ahead and create the usual structure. Let's add new. It's going to be characters, and we'll do animations. Getting organized, staying organized, very important. We'll do this one as sitting. You can see there's nothing in there. I'm going to actually I can do this a couple different ways. I can actually import and then find the actual location. I'm actually going to scroll to that location. No, I didn't have to do it off camera, but I did upload the animations to Discord channel, and it is in that one. Alright, so the animations, I'm just going to grab the three animations that are the same ones, and as soon as I go to import, skeleton is not chosen. I'm going to go ahead and select the UE4 mannequin skeleton and select import all. And that should bring in all three of them here. And I'm going to go ahead and do save all. This is sit to stand. Got sitting idle, which is semi-important, and stand to sit. Alright, so while I'm doing that, let's go ahead and get I keep saying that I gotta rearrange everything. Pardon the fact that I'm working on a different monitor here. Polygon. What I've been doing is I'm getting all of my Cinti Studio assets compiled into one big folder, and I can kind of organize them, set them up in different ways. I can split them apart if I want to, and try to isolate them or try to combine them all into a single, and doing all kind of different stuff with those. So that's why it usually takes me a little bit longer to kind of sort through everything. Alright. Polygon Town. And the way that I'm doing this is actually done through dragging and dropping into a live project. It's basically the same thing that you're doing with the Epic launcher, but just a little bit different way. It's not automated. I'm doing it manually. So the whole purpose of this video is showing how I set up my sit-down animation sequence. and you can just have a couple AI sitting in chairs, and then you can come into the room, sit down, and join them, whatever, you know. This is the coffee. Content, that's what I was looking for. Alright, sorry. I'm just a bit on the slow side tonight. So, there we go. Polygon Town, not part of the project. I want to thank everybody for joining me this evening. So, my usual thing, and whenever I'm setting up my characters folder, I usually do a mesh folder. I'll do a blueprints folder. So what I'm going to do is just going to grab the from the meshes characters. Don't need to if you're only doing one asset pack, but if you decide later you want to add more assets, and I may do that with this one, I may not, I don't know. But what I'm going to do is just drag this over to my mesh folder. Select copy here, and then I'm going to just rename that to sk_polygon. So now I have a unified skeleton that I can add all the different characters to. But you see there is no preview mesh, so we're going to have to actually add one because we just started doing this. I'm just going to grab these guys, all the characters from that asset pack, and go to skeleton, assign skeleton, and select that. Going to have to do that for all of them naturally that you have selected, but it doesn't take but a couple moments to do, and not 100% necessary, but especially if you're just going to use one asset pack. If you're going to use multiples, this is a good way to do it. For every one that you do, change your skeleton to the new one, and now you hit save all, go back to your mesh, open it up, ensure that it's set to the humanoid rig, and it should be automatically. And if you want, one or the other to be the default, just select it and apply to asset, and then save, and it's good to go. And then in my animations, I also want to do my usual. I'm just going to do this unarmed. Then go back to my mannequin folder, character, mesh, UE4 mannequin, use humanoid rig. I said, you've seen me do this 100 times. It's just one of those things where you get used to doing it. It doesn't take but just a moment to do, and it's really simple. And if you haven't seen me do this before and you're new to the channel, then all I'm doing is I'm raising the upper arm up by 50. I'm lowering the lower arm down by 10 and rotating it back by 20. And then I raise the hand up by 10. It gives me a perfect T-pose. I hit modify pose, select use current, and hit save. So the next thing I'm going to do is go to editor preferences. This is something that I always do because you should be accountable for saving, not some autosave feature. So I disable the autosaves. It also helps to eliminate wasting hard drive space. Let's see. That's all good. Go back to our animation folder. Right click on third person animation blueprint. Retarget. Go to our polygon. We're going to replace third person with unarmed. We're going to hit change and go to the folder that we selected. Characters, animations, unarmed. OK, and retarget. And now we've just retargeted Cinti Studio characters to use the regular unarmed UE4 mannequin animations. So now we go over to our, just going to close some of these things down here. Go to our third person animation blueprint, get our third person character, And I'm going to copy that into our blueprint folder. I'm going to rename that by hitting F2 to player underscore base. That's what I name all of my base characters. It's just what I do. And my usual thing, I'm not using VR, I'm not using gamepad, and I'm not using touch input. So for me, I get rid of them. Not necessary, for most people, most applications, I would say just leave it alone. Don't mess with it. So compile, save, viewport, mesh, mannequin, and we want to be father 2, use unarmed, and there we go. So now if we come over here to this example map, game mode override, third person game mode, chuck that in here. So you see me do everything from scratch here. Player base, and hit play. See, I have a mouse cursor, and that's going to bug the crap out of me. So there we go. We have our default guy. So back in player underscore base, just going to come over here and scroll in. Event begin play. Going to drag off from there. Set input to game mode only. Get our player controller. And as usual, set show mouse cursor. Leave that unchecked. And that's going to get rid of our mouse cursor bug. And it's also going to make sure that we are always starting off in the correct game mode. So I'm just going to right click on those 3 nodes and collapse nodes to input fix. So what I want to do now is I want to double click on it and go into it, and I want to go ahead and connect this to here, and it's going to give me an output node now. Compile and save, and go back to event graph here. So now I have an actual output node on that where I didn't have one before. So that's that on there, and I've got one more person joining here. But that's an important function for me, is to make sure that's correctly working. So now whenever I hit play, I don't have a mouse cursor. I can just go right in, test what I got to test, and then I know that it works. Yay. And since I don't like the way that maps are starting off, the next thing I'm going to do, save all, and cancel. We don't care about you. We need to go to our content. We need a new folder called maps. Now we can save current, go to the maps folder. Howdy, howdy. And we're going to call this our test map. So we have that taken care of. And I don't like the reflection thing, and I don't like the default flooring. And these guys right here, we're just going to shove them down a little bit. And we're going to come over here, go to create folder, and map stuff. I'll stop using the bad words. I always call that map shit, by the way. So we're going to go to geometry, grab a box, throw it in, come back over here. We're going to zero this out, but we're going to do -10 for the Z height. And then we're going to come to right here. We're going to make this 2000 by 2000 by 10. So now when we hit play, we still have our floor. It's just a little bit larger floor. Sometimes I'll make it even bigger than this, but this is good enough for now. And we'll hit save all. Now, are sitting animations. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to left click on one and shift left click on the other end, select all three of them. I'm going to actually go to the animations, and I'm going to create a new folder called temp, and I'm going to take those sitting animations and I'm going to move them into the temp folder. Now I'm going to select them again, right click, retarget, and I want to retarget them to that, and then I'm going to change the folder back to my sitting folder, and then retarget. And now if I go to sitting folder, I should have all three of them there, and they're all properly retargeted. And I don't like the name of that one, so I'm going to trim the name down. Save all. Now I can go back in here and I'm going to delete those three so I don't have any confusion with them later on. So I have my sitting animations are all set. Go in here and there we go. Stand to sit, sitting idle, and yeah, stand to sit. All three of them work. And the question earlier about where do I get Fps View? I make it. So in our player, one of the things that I do is I create a system for first-person view and third-person view. So let's make sure we drag that over there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the mesh. I'm going to add a component of a camera. And I'm going to call this my FPS camera. So now I have follow camera and FPS camera. Compile and save, but I want to come over here and I want to scroll down to auto activate and uncheck that. So I don't want to automatically use that camera, so it'll be something that I have to select. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a custom event. We're going to call this FPS View, and custom event, call this our TPS view, or a third person view. So now I have first person view and third person view. And now that I've got the executables, what I can do is just come over here and keyboard E, no, I want V for view, and whatever I press that V key, I want a flip-flop. I love my flip-flops. And then from there, we want to do FPS View. Now the reason why I use it on my sit-down is because I want to force you into third-person view. There's a reason for it, and you'll see it once you get into it. So that is that. So now the V key is going to work for changing our view, and by doing that, our FPS view, let's look back at our camera, and one of the things we also want to use is use pawn control rotation. So we want to select that, and not everybody loves this method here, but I'm going to socket it to the head. It's what I do, that's what works for me, and this is what I like. That looks perfect, doesn't it? Okay, so we're going to uncheck real time. And we are going to select our rotation. We're going to rotate it back 90 and up 90. And then we're going to uncheck that. And we're going to move this around a little bit. Elevation usually goes to about 60. That should be good enough. Let's hit compile and save. And we can go back to real time. So, next thing we're going to do is go back to our event graph. And when we hit to go into our FPS view, let's go ahead and drag out a reference to our FPS camera and our follow camera. And what we want to do to get our FPS view is we want to deactivate the follow camera, and we want to activate our FPS camera. And I'm going to go ahead and Control C, Control V, so I can paste a copy of those in here. And for the opposite, what I want to do is I want to deactivate my FPS camera, and I want to activate my follow camera. Now, that's not everything that I'm going to do with this, but I'm still going to go ahead and compile and save. Again, get in the habit of doing that compile and save often. Okay, so while we're in this view, there's one other thing, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So if I hit V, you can see we're going to spin around here. We can see inside our face, and that's just no bueno. Not going to work. So to fix that, drag off from here and type in yaw and set use controller rotation yaw. Paste in the copy there. I'm going to check the top one and uncheck the bottom one. And let's go back into it and try it now. Hit the V key, and there we go. We can look down. It rotates us around, which is fine. So now we're better. We can look down at our feet. We can look up. We can look around. Everything is good. Hit the V and go right back to it again. So that's why I had this stuff in there. And all I'm going to do is highlight it. I'm going to hit C, View Changer, and I'm going to come up here and change the color to yellow. Now, reason why I changed it to yellow is so I can see that as I'm scrolling around, yellow is control changes, and to me that says this is my color code of yellowish stuff is for that kind of stuff. Movement, I would say, should be green. You can come up with your own color code for things. And let's take that one as green because it's jump. So, shooting and action things like that, or damage things, to me should be red. So that's just my little color code. Alright, so that's it. My FPS view is just going to use a reference to my FPS camera, my follow camera. It's going to deactivate the follow camera and activate the FPS camera and turn on the controller rotation yaw. And then TPS view is just going to deactivate the FPS camera. It's going to activate the follow camera and turn off controller rotation yaw. Nice and easy. It's just coming back to like this part right here and freezing it and screenshotting it. And then I got keyboard V as in Victor, flip-flop. Then I put FPS view and TPS view. So that's that. So we're good. So now we need to have, first off, a chair, and we want to go sit in a chair. So if we look in our assets, and not materials, I want meshes, props. We can have vehicles, and like say I'll grab a vehicle here. I know that there's a convertible. Let's grab it, throw it in there. I don't like that color, so let's go with blue. That seems better. Alright, then worst case scenario, for right now, I'm just going to grab setting idle. Drag homeboy in here, reposition him a little bit. He's just sitting in here chilling out. So there we go. But we need a chair. Go to props. Look for us a nice chair to work with here. Ceiling fan. What I'll do is I'll actually create like an actual restaurant we can sit down at. So we've got a couple chairs here, little folding chairs, lawn chairs. Here's a dining chair, office chair. Just going to scroll through and look at my options really quickly. Bunch of chairs we can choose from, but I say for right now, let's go with either the dining chair or let's go with dining chair 2 because it looks nice. So we know which one we want. We're going to go to our root folder and we're going to get another one called, we'll call it assets. And another new folder called gadgets. Alright, so in our gadget folder, I want to create a new blueprint class, an actor, and dining chair, or we'll just call this D underscore chair underscore 02. That's good enough. Open that up, drag it over here, and then I'm going to go back to my props, and I'm going to find that dining chair 2. I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to go back in here, add components, and static mesh, and there's my chair. So I'm just going to call that chair. The next thing we want to do here is uncheck there. Just click anywhere besides up here, and then add a component, box collision, and I'm going to call this entry. Click off of it. Well, let's go ahead and set up. We just want to set it up to be right in front of the chair so that we can walk over to it and stand in front of it and then sit down. You can make it as big or as small as you want to. I'm going to go ahead and compile and save, and then I'm going to add another component, which is going to be an arrow. And this is something you're going to change around quite a bit. You see the arrow is facing that way. I'm not going to change the direction of the arrow, but I will change these two, grab both of them, and rotate them to match the direction of the arrow. Yeah, I could have just moved the arrow, but now this is something we're going to change a lot later, but I'm going to move it to about Control Z, about 85. And see, it's right here. Change that to 5. So now we can move that to 85, and we're going to move this to directly in front of the chair. And we want our entry to get its ass back where it's supposed to be. And in front of the chair, I probably should have just changed the arrow position. You know what? Close enough for government work. So now we've got that. Compile and save. So now we can actually go to our gadgets folder, go to our chair, and drop it into the map. It's not going to function just yet, but we can actually set it in here so we have a reference to it. So we can see, yay, here's our chair. So to get it to where it works here, what we're going to need to do is delete all that junk out of there. We need to go into our player blueprint. And we need a variable at chair. And that's fine. Compile and save. Come back in here. Select our entry. Right click on it. Add event on component begin overlap. Right click on it again and end overlap. So drag off from other actor and we're going to cast to our player character or player base, third person character, whatever it is you're using. And I'm going to put another copy of it down here. Remember, we're coming off of the other actor. Alright. Compile, save. From there, set at chair. And put that there as well. Leave the bottom one unchecked. So we're going to, when we step into that collision box, we're telling the player that we're at the chair. And we're telling it there as well at the chair. Alright, so let's go back into our player. And right click, keyboard E for enter or whatever. Then we want to branch and we want to ask, are we at the chair? And this is where there's so many different ways you can actually set this up to work. Let's start simple and we'll actually come off of the true and run a flip-flop. Because, well, actually we'll come back to this. We're going to make some custom events. Start with custom event sit in chair. Well, that's no problem. And the reason why I like doing these also in a live stream is whenever I screw up, you see me screw up and you see me fix it. There's no magic editing saying, well, this is what you do, and then suddenly it works. Well, I'm going to show you whenever I screw up. And whatever you ask a question, I can answer it pretty much as soon as you ask it. And kind of make these, instead of just saying, this is how you do something. Well, if you have questions of why are you doing it that way? Well, the reason why I do it this way is because of. So it's a little bit more free-flowing and it feels more natural. So we're going to sit in our chair. This is our first custom event. And we're going to go back to the press E stuff here in just a minute. Let's go ahead and create another custom event. Custom get up from chair. You can call it whatever the heck you want to call it. I'm going to come back over here and rename it get on up. And then with this same thing right here, I then can actually do the flip-flop. And yeah, that's good enough. We're just going to make sure we got enough room here to now compile and save so we know we have our executables there. Sit in chair. And the other one was get on up. So there you go. So what do we do when we sit in the chair and we get on up here? Well, we've already asked here, are we at the chair? We need to add another variable, is sitting. And let's go ahead and do at chair and change the category to chair. Same thing with is sitting. Now we can select it, chair. this base turn rate. We're going to throw this in my character. That's just so we can hide them if we want to. Alright, so with our custom event, we are already asking, are we at the chair? Just as a confirmation. So if we forget to add it in over here, one way or another, we have it. But so we want to go ahead and tell it to do what exactly? Well, here's where it's going to be fun and confusing. We have to think about it. And let's think about this, the way it works here. And let's go ahead and we're facing that way. You and you. You come on over here so we can see you. And then let's grab our chair. Drag its butt over here so we can see our chair. Yes, I could have just turned the player, but no one said I ever do anything easy. So we know that when we clip into this box, it's going to say that we're at the chair. You know, if we wanted to, we could go into our chair and just drag off of here, print text, and say, I'm at the damn chair. Then drag off from print text. Oh, I mean for the other one, and do another print text. Your chair sucks, bro. Yeah, better. Just to show you that we are in and out of that. See, I'm at the damn chair on the upper left-hand corner. Your chair sucks, bro. I'm at the damn chair. So you can see that we have some interaction. We know that it's actually working and setting that variable. So now in our player, we need to think about what needs to happen. When we come over here to this chair, we know that it knows we're here. We have to now turn our ass around, and then we need to sit down, and then, yeah, there's a couple steps that we have to do. So the first one we need to address is we need to get ourselves in position and turn around. So we know that in our viewport we have this arrow. This is going to be our position. This is what we're going to refer to. And to mention we have coffee. So we're definitely going to need a reference to, and we're going to make a lot of changes along the way, and I'm going to do this broken up so you can understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So the first thing we need to do is get all actors of class, and we're going to grab the dining chair 02. So we're going to get a reference to our chair. Now there's a couple different ways you can get the data that you want. You can pull it from a get a copy and get the data from there, or you can actually do for each loop. Now from this blue node, we know, let's see, let's get a reference to our arrow. So we can see we can get it from the get. We can get from the get, or we can come from the array element of the for each loop and get a reference to our arrow. So we can do it either way. I'm going to do, for this one, I'm going to use the get node. So we're going to get a reference to our arrow, and we're also going to get a reference to our mesh. We don't necessarily need it, so I'm not going to get it just yet. I'm not going to worry about it. So what I want to do here is I want to get world location, and I want to get world rotation. Okay, so that's two separate nodes. And then we also want to get, right click here, get actor location, and we want to get actor rotation. I'm doing these separately, and it'll all become clear as we go. And I'm going to drag this down. So we have the arrows, world location, and rotation, and we have our location and rotation. Now we need to drag out from here and set actor location and rotation. Now, I'm going to make some changes to this here in just a moment, but I want us to get there first. I'm not going to worry about doing any smoothing and that kind of stuff. Now, I could actually just ignore this stuff right here and come in here and set my world location to this and this. Don't use sweep. Do not use sweep. Do not check sweep. I will show you why. Okay, so if we hit play, we walk over here and we hit E. It spins us around and puts us in the correct location. It's very drastic, but it spins us around, and now we're ready to actually perform the animation of sitting down. So that's how we're going to get there. So I can walk around. I'm like, and oh, there we go. We're in position to start doing the animation. There is a thing you can do, which is called Lerp Vector. And if you drag this into here, drag A from your actor and B from this, although it would be nice to actually have a reference to yeah, so I'm not going to get into it right now, but we'll do the same thing. Lerp rotator. A is from your character, B is from the thing you're going to, and now you check your yellow line, go to there, your purplish blue, whatever color line to there, and let's try that. And let's try 0.5. And now we'll come over to our chair. We hit E. It only does it halfway. Doesn't do it all the way. So I'm going to clear that lerp. All right, so let's try to add one. All right, so we're there. So the next thing you actually want to do is you can actually use a timeline and use it for smoothing and draw your alpha from the timeline, but I'm not going to get into that right now. So I'm not worried about doing 100% smoothing. I just wanted to get this functional. All right, from set actor location and rotation, I'm going to go ahead and get a reference to my character movement. And I want to deactivate, which means I'm going to temporarily turn off the movement of my character. So I don't have any control over what I'm doing of moving left to right, up and down, jumping, and all that stuff. So I'm going to deactivate my character movement. And then the next step is I want to sit down. So let's go to my sitting animations and stand to sit. If you notice in the sequence length, whenever you're mousing over it, is 2.166667 is the time. Now, you can create an animation montage and it will work. And it may be smoother and look more awesome and that kind of stuff. But you know what? I'm not going to mess with it right now. I have montages I could use, but I'm not going to. I'm going to show the simple way first, and then you can get fancy and use montages. Reference to my mesh, and I want to play animation. And I'm going to link that in here. And then I'm going to do a delay, which now I want the delay to be the length of what we just said the animation length is, which was 2.166667. Compile and save, make sure we're good. And then we're going to play another animation. Connect our mesh to the target. Connect that to there. And we're going to select sitting idle. And then we're going to do the last thing. Set is sitting to true. So we are now sitting. It may not be right. It may be not perfect. So come over here and, oh no. Okay, so we have some minor problems. We went to a T stance. What did we do wrong? Stand to sit. We didn't select the animation. There we go. Stand to sit. We can fix the position here in just a moment. So you can see, and that is a problem with the arrow. So let's actually go back to our chair and let's raise it up to 100 and see how that looks. You may have to fidget around with each individual chair and animation and so forth. It's a little better, but I think the chair needs to be shrunk down just a little bit. So let's actually take the scale of the height of the chair. So let's bring it down to 0.8. Because, as we saw, his feet would be in the air otherwise. So that's not bad. Let's actually move the arrow just a tad forward and a tad up. You're just going to have to juggle around and get that to where it looks just right. You see, he's still kind of weird. His feet are off the ground, so the chair's a little bit too big. But, oh well, we are sitting in our chair. But we want to get back up. Well, we can't yet. So, sitting in the chair works just fine. So we need to get on up. Should be good enough. So, yeah. All we really need to do now is I'm going to grab a reference to my mesh. Because we've already said we're dealing with the chair here. And our legs are still touching inside there. So let's get another branch node. And we need to ask, are we sitting? So we need to verify that we are sitting at that point, and then we can get a reference to our mesh and simply just play animation. If it is our true animation we want is sit to stand. And really quickly, let's just click over here. Make sure we're sitting idle is set to looping. All right, so we just want to tell it to stand our ass back up. But we also want to make sure that we're going to run it like this and see what happens here. Let's grab our character movement. And we want to activate our character movement so we can start walking again. And we also need to grab a reference from our mesh, and we need to set anim instance class, and that we just need to select unarmed animation blueprint, and that should be good. What did I forget? Set is setting to false to make sure that we're no longer quote unquote sitting. So compile and save. So now, if we just hit the E key, nothing's going to happen because we're not at a chair, we're not sitting down. So we can sit down, everything's good. We're just going to sit here and chill, hit E. But you notice we just kind of popped up in the air a little bit. And as soon as we move, to kind of fix that little bit of an issue, we can just set our actor location, and we can use that arrow again if we want to. And we already have a reference right here, so let's actually drag this stuff. I think, should we do it before the animation or after? Let's do it after the animation. So from here, we're going to, before we activate our movement and set our animation back to where we can start walking, let's go ahead and get a reference to we can use this same one right here, and use this right here. And if we wanted to, we could actually get this, and this same basic information here, set actor, location, and rotation. So if we drag out from here and set actor, location, and rotation, drop it in here, and let's grab our character movement. No, get the hell out of the damn way. Why are you being an asshole? Get out of the way. And I'm just going to move this around till I can utilize the same one without adding too much more unnecessary spaghetti. Just grab this, throw it in here, grab this, throw it in here. Still unnecessary curvatures. So we'll throw it in like that. That's good enough. You know what? I'm a nerd for neatness in here. Not in real life. You should see my office. You should see my hard drive. So pretty much all it's going to do here is just grab that location. So whenever we sit down, everything's lovely. Get back up, and it's still kind of doing a little bit. So not that big of a deal. But if we're in our first person view, we come over here to this chair. Look what happens. It screws up the way that we're sitting, and now we're looking at the chair, and it's kind of like, ugh. Hit V, and now we're sitting behind the chair. So to prevent that, that's why I went ahead and, since I have lots of space up here, I can just drag off from here and bring in Fps View. So I'm going to force Fps View no matter what. If you're in first person view and you want to prevent that problem, hey, look, a chair I can sit down in. It throws you back on third person view, and it prevents you from animation class. The animation class that I was using as I'm walking around is my unarmed animation blueprint. So what I'm doing is whenever I'm setting an animation here, I'm telling it to perform an animation, and it screws my animation instance class. So whenever I hit E and I tell it to allow me to walk again, it's saying to go. Why are you still here? Get your butt over there. Stay. Uh, Set anim instance class, and the new class is actually going to be my unarmed animation blueprint is the one that I'm using. So you can just type into your search block right there, unarmed or whatever the name is, like third person animation blueprint or whatever. Just type it in there and select it, and it's going to let you force it back into that, because playing an animation breaks your animation instance and forces you to do that. So if you just said, okay, play an animation, for example, let's go right here, and I'm going to do keyboard G. As in G, I don't know why I'm using this key. And let's find an animation. Gonna look in here. Let's do the third person jump loop animation. Whatever. So come in here, and what we want to do is, well, first off, let's get a reference to our mesh, because that's where we're changing the animation sequences of. And let's run a flip-flop, just so we can toggle this back and forth. And we want to play animation, link that off of A. The animation, we already had it pre-selected, which is our jump loop animation. And on B, we want to set anim instance class. Connect that in there. And everything's running still off of our mesh. Everything's lovely. So what's going to happen is, now as I'm running around and I hit the G key, it's going to put me in that animation. Still going to be able to move around because I didn't tell it to stop moving or anything else. It sets me in that animation, and then whenever I hit G again, oh no, I didn't tell it which animation to use, so go in here and select the unarmed animation blueprint, and there we go. So now, hitting play, hit G, and I start flying around and everything, hit G again, and I go back to normal walking. So just the same as if I went in here to my third person animation loop, I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to duplicate. And I'm going to call this hover. I'm going to go into it, I'm going to pause it, drag the ass back to 1. Well, we don't want his foot all curled up, so let's curve his leg back a little bit. Let's grab his foot, rotate it up a little bit. That's about right there. Let's grab the other leg, drag it down. Grab that. I want the upper leg to come down some more. And whatever, let's just turn his arms out. Let's just be weird. And let's drag that out a little bit too. Why? Because key, apply, and now hit play. And this is the animation he's going to play. So we're going to hit save. do that. Go back in here. Let's change this to hover, compile, save. There we have our own retarded new animation. Blah. But it's not looping, so we need to make sure we check looping. Sometimes when you just need a little quick animation, you can spend some time fixing a jump or whatever to actually do that. Maybe you couldn't find some cool thing for a ghost floating and hovering or whatever, and then, okay, whatever, go back to normal again. You know, that's just quick and easy. Not the best way to do it, but, you know, just something goofy. But what if you're in that, come over here, it just takes you out of it, and now you're back to sitting down again. Alright, so any other questions about the sitting down and using those animations in the cheap and easy way? Bleh, or like a ghost floating around. You know what would be really cool is if you had the dungeons back in and suddenly you hit G and now you're in ghost mode and you changed into the tormentor. Yeah, you can't move. Whenever you're in the chair, you can't walk around and move. Your character is stuck until you hit E again and then get back up, and then you can move just normal. You can pan around and look around you. You can go into first-person view, but that's the problem. Is if you change to first-person view, you start changing your control aspect, and you can hover around. So you really want to kind of avoid that. So if you go into your player base and view changer, and we had this part right here, FPS view, TPS view. You could actually come in here and let's add another variable in. Can change view, and I'm going to put that in my chair folder. Now I can actually take this same here for this, for my actual view changing key commands. And let's come in here, throw in a branch node, and throw in that can change view, and let's drag you to there. So it's going to ask, can you change your view? Right, easy enough. Default of can change view, let's make it the true. So you should always be able to change your view around, except when we're going to sit in the chair or, yeah, so inside the sit-in chair, is sitting. Before we set is sitting to true, we can drag this guy in here, a set node, and anywhere we've got room inside that is to change can change view right after TPS view. We're forcing it to say, no, we can't change our view. And what that's going to do is make sure that we can't change our view while we're sitting down. Because I'm in first person view, nothing you can do about it. Bam, it throws me in third person view. Like, well, screw you, I'm going to use first person view, and it still worked. Oh no. So we got to fix that. Can change view. Oh, uncheck it, dumbass. Dumbass. So now we sit down and We can hit V key all damn day long, but we cannot change our view because we're sitting down. But as soon as we stand back up, we need to tell it is sitting. Yep. So let's drag in can change view, throw that in the end, and change it back to yes. So now what we've done is told it no, we can't change our view anymore. And then when we get up, yes, we can change it after that. So now, come over here. I am in first person view. Yay, I like first person view. It's awesome. I sit down on a chair. It forces me into third person view to take a look. Like, okay, well, I can hit V. Nope, no, I can't. So I'm stuck with this third person view. Yeah, this is more of a different kind of view. This is if Mr. Happy was looking up at you. This is what he would see when you're happy. Okay, never mind. So we can now go back into our first person or third person view. And we can look down, see that Mr. Happy's still there. So, nice car, bro. So that's that. That's for setting a chair. And if you want to add different kind of chairs, then go back to your gadgets and you can create a child blueprint class and we'll call this our D chair 1 and 2. Let's save all. 2 is our original. So this is very misleading here. Yeah, let's not do it that way. Let's actually, that would be the correct way to do it, but since it's listed as 2, okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to duplicate it, and we're going to change that to 1, and we're going to open it up, and we're not going to change anything in this. All we have to do now is just come down here, go to our props, D chair 1, go back in here, go to my chair, and hit the arrow, and it changes it so we can see it on our viewport. We have a different chair now. And we go back to our gadgets. This is a totally different chair. There we go. We hit play. One go sit in the wood. And see, this is where we have our problem. And this is the problem that I ran into in my other video. Is because we did that, we're using the same variable as at chair. And that's what we're going to run into. And we have to do our fixing on. So chair 1, we're telling it we're at the chair. So I guess what I'm going to do is fiddle around with it. If you guys have other questions, ask while we're doing this. But I'm going to create some other variables, other aspects, other options, because the problem we're going to run into now is if I want this chair, it's going to sit me in that chair because I'm using the same variable. So in order to try to fix this, I am going to try something here. Chairs. Okay. This is a structure. I'm not sure if this is actually going to work or not. And we'll call this chair 1. Can't change view. It's in the player. Alright, so what I did was I went up here to, I didn't change anything in the view changer. That's the same. All I did was I created a new variable, can change view, and I told it to be in the category of my chair. And I just added a branch node. Whenever I hit the V key, it's going to run a branch node and ask can change view. Okay. And if the answer is yes, then it does our FPS and our TPS view changes. The other part to that is here in our sit in chair, after our TPS view, we're telling it can change view to unchecked, because remember we have can change view is checked to always true. So we're telling it here in our sit down to tell it to become false. And then whenever we stand up, we're setting it back here again to be true. So we're basically saying that when we sit down, we cannot change our view because it kind of screws up the way we look. That help on that? Not exactly sure what I'm doing here. Chair 1, this is definitely not going to be the right way to do this. Chair 2, we've just set up a vector location. Look at our player base. Let's create a new variable. Chair location. We're going to set this as in our variable type chairs. It's going to be that structure. So we compile and save. And so you have chair location, you have chair 1, chair 2. This is absolutely not the right way to do it. So go to chair 1 and we're going to reference that chairs. And let's see here. Let's make sure that we're saved. Everything's good. Because see, you've got chair now this way. Get chair location, you can break it, and then we have the actual vectors here. So actually I'm going to throw this in that category of chairs as well. With that structure, it's allowed me to store data in there, and I need to be able to save that information. So get chair location, and I want to break so that I can get, this is chair 1, so I'm going to set location. Actually, let's get our reference to our arrow, and I should probably do this as a transform, save transforms, and this is absolutely the wrong way of doing this. I don't know what the hell I'm doing right now. I'm just grasping at straws. Yes, fix my damn chair. Somebody's got to do it. I'm just playing around with different other options right now. I've already done the main part of this video, was showing the basic structure for sitting in and getting back up and setting views and that kind of stuff. But this is more just a drink coffee session and screw around with stuff. Answer questions and whatnot. Yeah, that's cool. I'll do that in just a moment. And take a smoke break. I don't smoke near my computers anymore. After having one monitor that has a permanent yellow glazing on the inside of the actual screen, so if you touch the actual the monitor, you wipe it down all day long, and it's not going to do anything. Well, doing the structure thing has its benefits. It's not going to work for this particular instance here. Not for this. I do use this for other stuff, but so I've already got another project where I've actually done the timeline and do smoothing. All right. Well, did anybody else have any questions before I hop out of here for a few minutes? I'm just trying to get this crap done. So the reason why I'm wanting to get the chair sitting down is I need to go ahead and not only do all the stuff for it, but I need to set it to be replicated. And if I can't get it to pick the right damn chair, and that video that I did yesterday, where I sit in this chair, I get up. The hell did how the hell did I break shit now? Things just break for no reason. It's not a problem, dude. Enjoy those animations. I did not change a thing on these two. But I just ran it, and yeah, see, like that. Unless you're just going to socket it. Alright, well, I'm going to get out of this stream. Talk to John for just a minute so we can work through this problem. I might stream a little bit more later, but we'll see. Like I said, I've been in bed all day long, so. Alright, guys, take a break. Catch up with me on Discord.